My friends, Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. Thanks for watching my daily diary. Today I'm going to cover what I did on Monday, November 7th, Tuesday the 8th, Wednesday the 9th, and Thursday the 10th of November, 2022. Wow, eventful days, including Election Day. So Monday the 7th was the day before Election Day. I started off the day in Atlanta, where I had spoken the night before. Took a plane to Orlando, did work on the plane, of course, on my laptop, working on emails regarding things like preparation for election night, our broadcasting plans, correspondence questions from you, the general public, and helping our staff respond to them, preparing a media advisory, and planning for upcoming interviews. Arrived, did more work in the car on the way in to the office, talking with staff and phone calls. Got here, unpacked, settled in, met with staff, had an 11 a.m. meeting in regard to the plans for the broadcast on election night. And then came into my office and helped to lead prayer on two back-to-back national prayer calls. So the first one was arranged starting at noon by the Faith and Freedom Coalition. That's Ralph Reed's group. That started at 12 noon. I led a prayer for Senate candidate Herschel Walker from Georgia. He was on the call. I prayed over him together with the many people who were on the call from across the country, and we prayed for various other candidates as well. As soon as that finished, I got on another prayer call organized by Dr. Ben Carson, and President Trump himself was with us on that call. Not only did he begin with opening remarks, but he stayed on for the whole call. So I was privileged to speak to him and lead one of the prayers and thank him for his exceptional leadership in so many ways. So that call went from 1 o'clock until, I forget, maybe 1:35, 1:40. And then I continued at my desk with various work in preparation for the next day, checking in with pro-life leaders, checking in with our election volunteers, checking in with our political outreach department here at the office, checking in with other staff, preparing comments, interviews, and broadcasts. And then had a meeting at the end of the day with Mark, our administrative associate, followed by a Trump rally, not that I went to, but that I watched on television from Ohio. And that was a great, energetic way to end the day and usher in Election Day. A Trump rally, watched carefully his speech that night. Election Day arrived Tuesday, November 8th. I was up nice and real early and taped a mass for later broadcast. And then headed to the polling place. So our polls opened at 7 a.m. I was at the polling place at 6:15. The sun was just getting ready to come up, and I was the first in line. I like to do that every election day, be the first one online election day morning at whatever polling place I need to go to. And there I was here in Cocoa, Florida. It was exciting when the poll worker shouted out at 7 a.m. precisely, "The polls are open." And then I walked right up to the desk, checked in, and cast my vote right down the Republican line and voted for Governor DeSantis and Senator Rubio and so many other good people running here in Florida, where, as you know, there was a tremendous red victory. So after voting, I came back to the office and began interacting with staff who were already starting to arrive, although we let them come in just after they finished voting themselves. So we wanted them to take as much time as they needed to take. We had the briefing a little bit later than usual. We had it at 10 a.m. Then at 11 a.m., I had a national call, this time with abortion recovery leaders. It's actually a monthly call, and I was making a presentation on that call about the 20th anniversary of the Silent No More campaign and other business that we had to do. So that went from 11 to noon, had a working lunch with various people here, and then at 1:30, a dry run as we call it, meeting in the TV studio in preparation for our broadcast on election night. The rest of the afternoon, plenty of work at my desk and in interaction with pro-life leaders and other staff. Travel preparations, preparations for the upcoming pastoral team meeting, and of course, the dominant thing, election preparations. Then in the evening, after we had some staff together for dinner in our cafe, we went into the TV studio, and starting at 7 p.m., we did something we have not done before. We did a live election night results broadcast. So we had our studio set up in a wonderful way. We had our political outreach associate, our executive manager, our communications director, all sitting at the desk with their laptops, who were watching live returns. We had our executive director with me at the other desk, talking to the audience. We had the whiteboard set up where I could show things visually. We started that broadcast at 7, and it went till 11:30. Then, as you know, by that time, we still didn't know a lot of the outcomes, and so we went to bed. Before that, I stepped out of our broadcast and went into another room where we had a secondary studio set up, and I did a broadcast at like 10:45 p.m. for TBN, Trinity Broadcasting Network, which, of course, like a lot of other networks, was having its own live election night coverage. Went to bed, got up the next morning, and that was Wednesday, November the 9th. And I started out with a 7:30. Well, started out actually with me taping Mass, recording it for broadcast later on, and then doing a 7:35 a radio interview, followed by an 8:15 radio interview, followed by staff meetings. And work at my desk included interviews and preparations for interviews, follow-up statements about the election, getting them out to the press, getting them out to the website, getting them out to our email list, and phone calls in relation to the same, preparation for upcoming leaders meetings, some liturgical revisions for the website, as that's just part of the regular stuff that always has to be done, preparation for the National Prayer Service, and for online liturgical videos. But all the day really was focused on follow-up, immediate follow-up to the elections. Now, the other unusual thing about the day was that we had to let staff be at home because of an impending hurricane. And so I was here by most of the time, just myself, and working remotely on all these things. 2:30 p.m. I met with our executive director, Janet, in regard to our upcoming Defending Life taping, which will be the following week. I had a beautiful call at 3 o'clock with a young pro-life activist who's going to be helping us out in various ways, and then another call at 4 o'clock with our vice chairman and our executive director, about a half-hour call where we updated on a bunch of plans and activities. Did a little bit of work getting some Christmas decorations ready. Of course, that's way early. I mean, getting them out and out of storage, and because we have a big task when the time comes to decorate our office for Advent and for Christmas, a lot of staff helping out with that, and we have to just line a few things up in preparation for that. So then the hurricane started, and we had to, during the course of the day, the windows were boarded up, and everything that was loose outside was taken inside so that it wouldn't get blown around. And so we hunkered down for the hurricane. The power went out during the course of the night. And so on Thursday, the 10th, I was up very early in the morning, and actually in the wee hours of the morning, I had to walk around the building and on the inside, of course, as the hurricane was passing through, and make sure there were no leaks and make sure everything was in good shape. The electricity went out shortly after I did a walk around of the building at about 2:30 in the morning. And so I worked by flashlight for most of Thursday, November 10th. I started off with, actually had a radio interview conducted in the dark with a radio outlet up in Michigan, and then I was working at my desk. I had to do things like prepare for communication with newly elected members of Congress, the pro-life ones, working on this, welcoming some new staff, getting ready for that, working on some preparations for a new emphasis on direct action, street activism, protests, marches, demonstrations, January newsletter, getting some articles ready for that. 2023 planning. This is the time of year, of course, where we look at the coming year in some detail and make plans. Got some new rosary meditations written for our online prayer resources, some work regarding the FBI's targeting of pro-life people and some stuff we're putting out about that, preparation for upcoming broadcasts and upcoming appeal letters. In the midst of all this, again, working by flashlight, I signed some cards, some birthday cards that had to go out, and lots of preparation for November and December, detailed planning for these next weeks to finish out 2022. At 2:30, I jumped on a 1-hour conference call put together by CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, doing assessment with some of the nation's top polling experts and political experts on the outcome of the elections. And then after that, our Mark, our administrative associate, together with our technology assistant, Zach, were here. And then the electricity went on in the mid-afternoon, and that was nice. Spoke with Janet, our executive director of the storm, passed by us, and the sun came back out. We went outside, assessed some of the damage. Tree fell down and some other things. It was kind of messy outside, but no serious damage to the building or to our property, and that was good. And so I settled in the rest of the day with lots of this planning work, as I mentioned, and a combination of planning work for the rest of the year and for the new year, and of course, immediate election follow-up commentary, and more of that will continue in the coming days. So thanks for following my updates. That was November 7th to 10th, 2022. Father Frank Pavone here. We'll talk to you soon.